If you're a first-time buyer or you're looking to buy a home in the Niagara region, this video goes through the whole home buying process. Stay tuned till the end, and you can book a call with us.
Ashton, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am Ashton Hendricks of Niagara.
Top 2% realtor.
Yeah.
Investor.
Investor. Hashtag realtor. Hashtag dog owner.
Hashtag yoga lover.
No,
what else?
Not anymore.
No?
Pilates. It's Pilates now.
Okay.
Yes, but I am a realtor first and foremost. And you?
My name is Emily. I am part of the Portfolio Realty Group.
Creator
of the Portfolio Realty Group. Yeah, I live in Port Dalhousie. I'm a proud Port Dalhousie resident. And I'm extremely proud of this team that we have put together down in Port. And we're here to create some content for our valued customers and clientele.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Ash, what's the importance of using a local agent when you're buying?
I already went over this, but we'll say it again. We'll yell it louder. Like it is incredibly important. Emily and I and our team, we know Niagara like the back of our hands. We saw some crazy stuff during the pandemic and the years before that, where agents were coming from out of town and selling homes for prices they should not have been selling for in areas they should not have been selling for, and buyers coming to us, a year or so later regretting the purchases they made because they were in locations they did not want to be in, and they were wanting to relocate. So yeah, you need to work with an agent who is an expert in the area they are working in. I will not leave my area and go sell in another location. I will refer that business to that other area because I do not know that location. I do not know about it. I will stay in Niagara because that's what I know best, and I am an expert on it.
I feel like a big part of our day-to-day kind of business is, being in the office together and going through the MLS list. And we know what's what in terms of what's new, what's sold, what went conditional. And that's kind of like just a part of our daily lives, right?
It's like having Sportsnet on in the background, right? Like
what's sold over the weekend and for what price and how many offers were on it and that sort of thing. So we are really, I would say, in the know agents because we do a lot of transactions to be able to be, experts in our field for sure.
Yes, it is not a part-time job. It is a full-time, 100% go.
You can ask any one of our family or friends what it's like to be around us, when we're in a busy market or things are starting to get busy which is, pretty much around the clock. This could be easily a 24-hour job if you had the capacity. Yeah. Pre-approval.
Yes, always the first step, right? Like,
that's the biggest thing to avoid disappointment, I think, is, maybe your client doesn't even know that because they've never bought a home before, and they just, they know that they have this amount of savings, but they don't actually have the documentation in place or have calculated accurately what it's going to take to actually purchase a home. So I think if they don't have someone that they're already working with, aligning them with one of our partners, one of our mortgage broker partners, and setting them up to start the process is very important. And we always keep lines of communication between myself and the client and myself and the broker, and it's a three-way kind of plan that needs to be set out before we even step foot in a property, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the one thing we've learned over the last year of 2022 is that the mortgage game is always changing, right? So
big time.
That line of communication between myself, my client, and the mortgage broker always has to be happening. It's very important.
Basing on our own experience in terms of buying, that you never want to put your client in a situation where they're feeling overextended.
Mm-hmm.
It's always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to setting up monthly payments. You have to, account for closing costs and repairs and maintenance, all those things that come up that maybe a first-time buyer wouldn't know that we're going to kind of prepare them for.
First of all, it's the pre-approval, right? It's what is that number that I can attain, and then the list formulates from there, right?
Yeah, and then it's just basic criteria, right? How many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms would you, require? Do you need a garage? Are you okay without one? How big of a backyard do you need? All things that take into account for that particular person and their lifestyle and what their needs are.
Lifestyle.
If they have a dog, they're going to need a fenced-in backyard. If they have a baby on the way, they're going to need, an additional bedroom or an office or, additional space. If they're looking to owner occupy and potentially have an in-law suite, all kinds of things that factor into what that particular person's criteria is to best suit their needs, right?
It's also where are we at in the market, what kind of inventory is available, and what that price point can accommodate on that wish list.
Yeah, and you try to check as many boxes as you can, depending on what the budget is. But I mean, the goal is to hit as many check boxes as you can for the client.
And those check boxes will be checked or not checked based, again, on inventory and where we are at in the market. And it's such a learning experience as you go,
And then
you'll
I
learn
think
quickly.
once you do get to the point where you're, the pre-approval has come in, you've set the criteria, both you and the client have researched new inventory that's come to the market. Now it's time to start looking. So, I mean, that's when things start to get exciting, right? Because you're viewing properties. We definitely like to set up, 2 to 5, I would say 2 to 5 listings in a search day if we're taking a client out, so that they can start to get their feet wet and see, what they may like, what they may not like. Maybe that location isn't for them anymore. Deal breakers that may come up that they're like, no, we actually do, want to be in this neighborhood, or we do need a garage, or different factors that come up, when you actually start the search process. Okay, so if you're meeting with a client for the first time and you have to set up, 6 properties to view that day with them, what does that look like? What is the timeline like? And what is a day in the life of looking, at multiple properties with a buyer? Yeah.
6 properties is a lot to go through in one day, as you know, right? It can be, if it's a first time going out to see properties, it can be a little bit emotionally exhausting, especially if it's not hitting those checking those boxes, and it's not immediately go through the first home, and it's this feeling of dejection, right? This is not what I'm expecting. But you got to learn, you got to get through the door, and you got to learn what your price point is getting you.
Just setting up a timeline, like, when you go through a property and you walk in the front door and you go, nope, this one's not for us, and you spend 10 minutes in there, and you off the hop that you're not going to waste any more time in there, and you make your way to the next property.
Either you like it or you don't, honestly, when you're in a property. Some clients like to spend, half an hour to an hour checking things out. But it's a feeling, and it's a feeling if you like something, you want to spend more time in a home, and if you don't, you're in and out. Yeah. I always like to, if it's a first time offer, I always like to sit down with my clients and go through it.
Go through the paperwork?
Person. Absolutely. Yeah.
So they understand. And again, if nobody has taught them or educated them about the paperwork, and you're most of the times talking on the phone and sending electronic signature documents, then a lot of the times they're just trusting you that everything has been done correctly, which is fine and which is fantastic that our clients trust us. But you're right, absolutely right. For a first-time buyer to be able to sit down and go through what all this terminology means, and through exactly what an agreement of purchase and sale is, and what you're committing yourself to.
Yeah, the first time I always go through and explain everything to my first-time buyers as to what is happening and what is going on. Otherwise, things are missed and things are misunderstood. What do you mean the deposit is due tomorrow? What do you mean our conditions are due today? things have to be explained clearly and precisely, and that is our job as agents, is to
yeah, you don't want any surprises. This is already, you know, a stressful process for people, so it's really, really important to educate them fully on you know, the process.
Yeah, but it's amazing how many people have had negative experiences out there, and
well, that's where we come in as
give them a very positive
change their mind and change their perception on realtors to be able to show that we are professionals, and we go through the process with diligence, right?
Yeah, clients first and foremost.
Always.
Yeah, 5 stars, 5-star experience.
5 stars.
Well, my goal is always to get that.
If the market allows. I mean, even if the market doesn't allow, let's go back to, you know, 2021 here, where if you had an inspection condition in your offer, you didn't have a hope in hell of getting your deal pretty much even seen. So now, as agents, even during that time, a big thing for me was, you know, should we get an inspection? If you can get a pre-inspection during a seller's market, absolutely worth it. And especially for first-time buyers, just to have that weight lifted of, you know, are all these big ticket items checked off, or am I going to be in trouble in 6 months when I got to get a new furnace, or the roof's leaking, or, you know, all kinds of things that could come up if an inspection wasn't completed. But if there's an opportunity to have one, so once the conditions are removed from the offer and the deal becomes firm, you know, we hand off our paperwork to Kelly, who's our administrator in the office, and all the documents are sent to the brokerage and to the lawyers for review. And then it's up to us to kind of check in to see what the status is on that and make sure everything is moving along as it should be. So once a buyer has acquired the deal and they're moving
the offer has been accepted.
Once the offer has been accepted and it's conditional, say, on financing and inspection, what does that timeline kind of process look like?
So typically an offer in a normal balanced market, you put an offer in conditional on financing, home inspection for 5 to 7 days, which looks like a week, right? In which time you have your due diligence to make sure that your mortgage is secured and make sure that you can get the property inspected. So what happens is you find a home inspector to inspect the property, and then we get all the paperwork off to your mortgage broker, and he makes sure that, yes, the bank will approve your mortgage for the amount that you are proposing to pay for this property. Right? So we go through the property with your home inspector. He does a nice, thorough investigation of the property. But keep in mind, a home inspector cannot see through walls, right? So he will check the moisture in the basement, see if there's any moisture there. He will check in the roof to see if there's any mold or any moisture coming through. He'll check everything, the electrical, the furnace, the AC, what age the shingles are, those main ticket items, right? They're going to cost you a lot of money. And then after those 7 days, the bank says, yep, you're good for a mortgage. The inspector says you're okay for the house. Then you remove your conditions and you buy the home. But let's say there's an issue with the house, right? We've both seen this happen many a times. I'm trying to think the last thing that happened. Let's say the plugs aren't grounded, right? You had that happen on a deal with you the other week. You can either A, back away from the deal. You decide not to buy the home anymore. B, you can ask for money off of the price, or you can ask the seller to fix the plugs, right? There's different options. But essentially what conditions do is they protect you.
And I think the biggest thing, misconception, I guess, for home inspections is the home inspector isn't there as a contractor to give you quotes on, you know, a new roof or a furnace or what it would cost to fix this plumbing issue. The inspector is just there to inform you of potential hazards or hazards that are already occurring, basically like a green light, yellow light, red light system in terms of this has to be taken care of immediately, this is going to be arising in the next, you know, couple years, and everything else looks good, sort of kind of just a booklet of basically a to-do list, essentially, right? So, the inspector isn't there to kind of kill the deal. They're there to just inform the
This
client,
is what's happening
right? And then it's up to the client to decide based on their comfort level and what their budget is for external things that are going to come up, right? To be able to decide if they're going to move forward, if they're going to renegotiate the deal, or if they're going to move on.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I often hear people say, "Oh, it failed the inspection," or "It passed the inspection." Yeah. That's not how it works.
Yeah, there's
right?
no pass or fail.
They're just there to tell you kind of what's going on with the mechanics of the home.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.